Now, this discussion on conscience is very deep. In fact, the essence is that it helps the moral agent to shape the way he or she thinks and behaves in the society that he or she finds himself in, and how he or she would want to interact in that society and see how best his actions and inactions may positively affect other moral agents. It's very important that we deal with the question of conscience. And the point of this session would want to let us look at how we want to derive one's conscience. So deriving one's conscience is the discussion we want to make. By the end of the session, the students should be able to explain the term synderesis in not more than 5 lines, demonstrate knowledge by explaining how the moral agent derives his or her conscience. We have indicated, and we are really reiterating that conscience is not a special faculty distinct from the intellect. No, it's not a special faculty which is separated from the intellect. Rather, it is the intellect itself in a special function. This means that the intellect, one's intellect, can seize that special functionality. So we are saying that this special reflection or function of the intellect itself functions in such a way that it judges the rightness and wrongness of our individual actions. So it means that if your conscience is dead, when you pursue any bad or morally bad action, you will not feel that the action that you perform is wrong. So you see, we say that your conscience will tell you that no, what you did is not right. Like what happened on the platform, how people are able to say things that are not warranted on the platform. And then when you sit down, you come to appreciate, no, what I said was not right, so you need to apologize. Conscience is working then. But if you don't find anything wrong with doing what is bad, then I'm telling you that your conscience has a fault. We need to take it to the mechanic, loosen some of the bolt and not put in some grease and oil, then begin to see if we can repower it to function. But the point is this: before such judgment comes into play, a logical reasoning process takes place. Such reasoning process follows a sequence leading to a logical conclusion. So we are coming back to logic and critical thinking. Premise 1, premise 2, conclusion. These are very important. So let's look at this whole discussion on deriving the judgment of conscience. We are saying that the reasoning process involved in arriving at the judgment of conscience is the same as in any logical deductive argument. We've mentioned deductive argument in your discussions when you people dealt with critical thinking. We said the deductive argument is that type of reasoning process whereby the conclusion follows with necessity from the premises. In other words, the premises give good grounds for themselves for the conclusion to be logically inferred. So we are saying that deductive reasoning supposes a major premise or general principle, or a minor premise or application of the principle to a particular case, and the conclusion necessarily following from the two premises, as I've already indicated. Now we are saying that the major premise employed in forming the judgment of conscience is a general moral principle, either self-evident or the conclusion from a previous reasoning from a self-evident principle. Now there's these two words, synderesis and synedesis. These words have their implication and they mean conscience. For example, the medieval writers use synderesis to mean the habit of general moral principles, the habit of having such principles ready formed in mind and of using them as the basis of one's conduct. Now, there's another word we call synedesis. Now, when you read the New Testament, this word was introduced by Paul and it is used about 32 times in the New Testament. Now, the word was first introduced by the Stoics. When you read the works of Henry 1957, page 513. So, synedesis is that process of thought which distinguishes what is considered morally good or bad, and that condemning that bad and so promoting the moral agent to pursue the good and to avoid the bad. What are we saying? We are saying that conscience stands on a subjective moral basis of our morality. It involves an intellectual process that occasions emotions and rational associations grounded on an individual's moral philosophy or value system. So we are saying the conscience is not a special faculty distinct from the intellect, but is part of this intellect which is performing a special function such that it helps us to judge right and wrong actions pursued by a moral agent. So thank you very much. Let's move on to the next session, then we draw the curtains.